Wrestling is so much more than just a job. For wrestlers who made it to WWE, it's a lifestyle. That's one of the reasons why there are a lot of traditions, unwritten rules, and etiquette that wrestlers must follow when they get to WWE. Some of them you see on TV, while others are hidden backstage. One tradition you may notice when watching WWE is wrestlers wiping their feet on the edge of the ring. There are a few reasons why they do this. One is simply to help keep the ring clean. Garbage and other waste can attach themselves to a wrestler's boots, so to prevent it from being brought into the ring, wrestlers wipe off. Additionally, it's a sign of respect. Respect for the ring where many wrestlers have given their blood, sweat, tears, and lives, and where many more will in the future. Wrestlers also wipe their feet as a sign of respect to their colleagues who are performing later in the show by keeping the ring clean for them. This next tradition is hidden from fans, and you might not even know it exists. The tradition is cleaning up the locker room. When a new WWE wrestler joins the main roster, it's tradition for them to stay until after the show and clean up the locker room. Additionally, newer talent usually helps out the veteran talent by making sure the veterans have water available, towels, and other things. Newer wrestlers will continue to do this until a veteran tells them they don't have to. While this practice isn't done as much today, wrestlers like Aleister Black and Rusev both said they'd make sure to clean the locker room when they started wrestling on the main roster. In fact, for Aleister Black, Roman Reigns was the person who told him he didn't have to clean up after the shows. Once that happened, it meant that Black had been accepted by the other WWE wrestlers and was part of the team. One other tradition that mostly newer WWE wrestlers need to follow is respecting veterans and main event talent. There are a lot of big wrestlers on the WWE roster, and sometimes the locker room gets pretty cramped. However, no matter how little room there is, everyone is expected to make space for veteran wrestlers and top talent like the world champions. Even if you've been in WWE for a while, if you're not a legend or a main event star, you're expected to give up space. If you don't, or if you do something that makes someone angry, you can get in trouble. The Miz infamously got kicked out of the locker room when he was a newcomer to WWE. He was eating some chicken and accidentally spilled some of it onto Chris Benoit's bags. Benoit had the Miz banned from the locker room, and the A-lister had to use the public bathrooms where the fans were. Finally, after the Miz had a match against The Undertaker, the dead man allowed Miz back into the locker room. Similar to staying and taking care of the locker room, another tradition is that no one leaves until the show is over, even if you already had your match. The reasons for this are 1. To show respect to your fellow wrestlers, and 2. To watch the other matches and absorb as much knowledge as possible. This tradition isn't practiced by everyone, but according to Kevin Owens, when John Cena was around, Cena would make sure to watch every match in the show so he could see what the crowd was reacting to. Another tradition you'll see on TV from time to time is the receipt. A receipt means getting back at someone. During a match, a wrestler might get careless and accidentally punch or hit their opponent for real. If that happens, the wrestler that got hurt might issue a receipt. Usually it comes in the form of intentionally punching, kicking, or doing something to get even with your opponent. Now, a wrestler giving a receipt typically won't try to seriously injure anyone. It's just meant to be a little payback. Chris Jericho once got punched by Shane McMahon during a match, so Jericho gave Shane a receipt by kicking him in the face. Sometimes a wrestler will give a receipt on someone else's behalf. At One Night Stand in 2005, JBL infamously started attacking Blue Meanie for real and actually made him bleed. About a month later, the Blue Meanie and JBL were having a match. Stevie Richards interfered and gave JBL an extra hard chair shot to the head as a receipt. This unwritten rule kind of makes sense, but also doesn't. WWE wrestlers aren't supposed to talk about their matches. Regardless if a wrestler had a good match or a bad one, they aren't supposed to ask anyone how it went. When you've made it to WWE, it's expected that you can gauge matches on your own and don't need advice or validation from others. If a wrestler has a match that was bad, they need to accept it and make sure their next match is better. Likewise, if a wrestler had a really good match, he or she should not brag about it. Similarly, when a wrestler wins a championship, it's an unwritten rule that you show it off only when necessary. This is to help prevent egos from getting out of check and to help keep good locker room morale. This is something you probably never thought about, but in WWE, wrestlers are all supposed to speak English, and it's not for the reason you might expect. Sure, WWE shows are all done in English, and that is part of it. However, the real reason wrestlers are all supposed to talk in English is so they can communicate during matches. Wrestlers will often talk to their opponents secretly during a match to discuss what moves they're going to perform next. It's incredibly important, since a misunderstanding could lead to a bad match, or even worse, someone getting injured. This is perhaps the reason why the original Sin Cara would often botch moves during his matches, since he did not speak English. To help avoid this, all WWE wrestlers are told to communicate in English. Not all WWE traditions are serious, some of them are fun. WWE wrestlers are on the road a lot and need to stay positive. One way they do this is by pranking each other, or ribbing, as it's called. When X-Pac was new in WWE, a bunch of wrestlers got him drunk on his 21st birthday and shaved off his eyebrows while he was passed out. Unfortunately for X-Pac, WWE was taking promo pics the very next day, so he ended up having no eyebrows when they took them. While a lot of these pranks happen backstage, some wrestlers have pranked each other on TV. To see those, watch this video.